So sort of the journey from film is the way I always put it is video games is how I learned to tell stories growing up.
Mhm.
And I very much grew up in a religious household that was, very strict about what kind of content I was taking in. I couldn't watch a lot of PG-13 movies, couldn't watch a lot of rated R
Interesting.
movies. And I really
That
loved
worked
video
out.
games. Yeah, yeah. It kind of like video games was the way I would be able to learn story from like stuff that was like rated T or like E10 or whatever the hell, like by the skin of my teeth. And
Mhm.
I just dove into Final Fantasy, a lot of the story driven stuff like Kingdom Hearts. Heavy Rain is a huge influence. I played that in secret though. A
Mm.
crazy story about that one. And but anyway, I love Heavy Rain to death.
Mhm.
And as soon as like the era of downloading games to your PS3 so you don't have to go to GameStop and show your ID that you're 17, as soon as that happened, which happened when I was like 15 or 16,
Mhm.
oh man, I was like playing everything. I was like, "Oh my god, so this is BioShock. Oh, so this is Nico Bellic and Roman from Grand Theft Auto 4." And then 5, of course. But all of that was sort of, man, I wish I could be telling these stories, but I can't because I don't have a computer and I don't have a fucking, ability to draw and it's too hard and I can't code. So the next best thing
Well,
was
not
always
yet.
movies. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I still can't code now. I won't do it, but
Mm.
that's fine. Uh, the movies sort of became a thing with just a need for storytelling, to be honest. Like I went to a Catholic film school in Escondido, California,
Mm.
and then from there, when after like graduating that, I went to grad school and got my master's in screenwriting and just try to just pursue this writing directing track as film writer director. And I did well at that. I enjoy leading a team. I enjoy like, you know, again, telling stories, and I've learned a lot about myself in that process and everybody else.
I
And or yeah.
oh, it's like answer if you want, but I wonder, are you still like so you were raised Catholic, strict Catholic, not able to, watch horror movies and all this stuff. Are you still Catholic? Did you do a full 180? Have you like is there trauma there or anything? Like answer
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
want.
yeah, sure. It's there's a lot. I don't really actively practice. I don't really associate myself with that group, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's a little bit of trauma, but like it made a man out of me more or less, is how I always put it. It was more of like a military school adjacent experience than it was a personal, deep, um, beautiful, loving relationship building thing with God, as it should be.
Yeah.
Um, and I think what that taught me is that God is sort of is more things than just one. And I had so many different Catholic situations and just things I was in. So I've been in like the very new age kind of softer Catholic groups, and I've been in my high school was the Anglican Catholic Hardcore Academy, which has since closed down. That was
Interesting.
like church every single day, suit and tie every single day, very strict, like hardcore religion studies of like, you got to understand the whole catechism of the Catholic Church. You got to understand different books that are like beyond just the books of the Bible. You got to understand like the biblical studies of these side books and why this writer is actually like technically getting influence from this saint, which that saint's getting this influence from that book, and that gospel John is actually different from the other, and it just insanely complicated, very deep um stuff, which objectively is beautiful. I respect religion, I love it, and I respect what Catholicism does for people that practice. In the situations that I was brought up in, it was very much the people bound to it and using it were obviously abusing it in
Yeah.
more ways than one. And i I think, to give you my answer about religion, it's I find myself cowering and still questioning and yearning for God, but it is a way that's very between me and him in a way that like because that just feels real to me. I think in the situation of church and school, even like a local church where like you're meeting buddies and stuff, it's impossible for me not to feel it as performative.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I think the realest relationship with God you'll ever have is true silence, one on one, in a room between you and Him, in a conversation and in a feeling and an understanding that no one else will ever know. And I think that to me is where I found my solace, and I still sometimes come back to that. But
Awesome. Yeah,
sorry. The last thing I will say is
yeah,
it has made me discover self love. I think is the one thing that those other institutions and stuff kind of stray you away from. But anyway,
yeah.
that's the big answer.
Yeah, I should say I have no opinion one way or the other personally.
Okay.
Like I grew up in California as I think you did, but my parents were
Nice.
total California hippies. So when people talk about these going to Catholic school, I find it interesting, and then I find it interesting that I think you know there's the religious people, especially in California, who hate religion and they'll never
Yeah.
give it a second chance. Aside from the ones who love it, who continued it, I think you mentioned that after being raised this way, you went to a Catholic film school because did you trust the Catholics? You were like, yeah, they're cool. I'll study film with them.
So I didn't grow up in California. I grew up in Texas, and
Uh,
it's sort of the reason that I moved to California was the only way that my parents would sort of let me go to a non-Texas college is if I went to this Catholic film school.
hmm,
And so it was sort of a compromise, to be honest with you, just to like be closer to the real career that I wanted, and having like an actual way out. Um, that said, I don't really hate that other Catholic school. I think it's fine. Everyone's got different types, and it was by no means as rigorous as the high school. I've yet to encounter something like that again.
yeah,
And it's again they've closed down. They've done their thing. Um, and we're my class is my class, and we're growing up and growing apart and surviving post that, and we're really
yeah.
definitely thinking about it and being like, yo, what the hell was that? Now that we're like 10 years after, like, can I just cry to you in the corner of the bar and like open up to you in a way that's like never happened before? Because I feel like it's all hitting me now that was really weird. And
Weird.
it's like, so it's somewhat like really intense, and it's also just you can laugh it off, but um I'm in between both right now.
Yeah,
But it's the Catholic film school is great. They're fine, and they were very much like, if you're not Catholic, we're not going to beat you over the head. We're not going to fucking jail you. But
yeah,
we'll definitely look at you funny, and we'll definitely talk about you behind your back.
yeah.
But after you graduate, we'll forget about you. Come on, for God's sake. So
Um,
anyway,
yeah, yeah. So after kind of this upbringing and go to this school, were you into kind of horror themes while you were studying film there?
yeah, I was. I got into horror, um, especially around the time that I saw Blair Witch for the first time,
Hmm.
which I pirated on my PSP.
Hmm.
And that was one of the original like. So the thing about my parents is that they would never let me watch R-rated movies, but they owned so many of them, which was crazy. And so me at 5 years old was like wandering around the house, and like they had VHS tapes, and they had a Blair Witch VHS tape. And if you've seen, the poster of the original Blair Witch, it's very striking. You got that image of that girl who's like crying, and then you got
Hmm.
the big like red, like the black on red and white. It's an incredibly constructed image. And at 5 years old, knowing that this box, whatever is contained inside of it, I am by no means ever allowed to watch it or else I will die, is so fascinating to me. Because it just looks the part so well.
Yeah,
And that feeling of this forbidden footage element really stuck with me in a way that I'm sort of grateful for
well,
because
you said
yeah,
red and the color palette of Twirl. Are we drawing inspiration from this exact kind of vibe?
that's interesting. Maybe subconsciously, yeah. I didn't even consider that, but Red is I don't even know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I was more seeing like the reason that the character's favorite color is red is sort of a double entendre of danger or safety or just
Yeah,
warmth.
yeah.
Um, it could be good and bad, and it just plays like that. But that is cool to think about
Hmm.
in comparison to the Blair Witch stuff. But yeah, I always eventually when I finally saw that movie, I was like, oh, this is what they were hiding from me. But it was still powerful and great. And in Catholic school, when I started directing short films and stuff, yeah, I was the only guy making horror films, and definitely made a reputation out of me. But like, I enjoyed it, and it was also very quickly a way for me to put meaning to things that I was coping with about my past and like about Catholic school, about crazy ex-girlfriends, about relationship with self, and just things that I felt needed meaning because I was very extreme and very like um, I just liked the idea of inciting a reaction from the audience while also saying something deep and meaningful. I think every filmmaker and storyteller wants to do that, but and horror is the lowest hanging fruit to do that, especially as like a baby's first short films and when you're 19. But
What
yeah.
just real quick, what was kind of the average film there? You say you're the only one doing horror. What was
Yeah.
everybody else kind of doing at a Catholic filmmaking school?
That's interesting. It was very much like just your basic like spy. I want to be the spy that
Oh,
is the
I wouldn't
secret
have
spy.
even thought that, but yeah,
Or like
interesting.
this is my original version of a Marvel character. Or like what if there
Mhm.
was a high speed chase and there was a spy and there's a secret package. Oh, the secret package is just a cute dog. That's my
Probably,
short
yeah,
film.
probably a lot of
You know?
average, your average film
Yeah.
school stuff. Nothing
Um,
like.
No, nothing over religious, I will say. That's the one thing you would guess. But no one really made like a lot of like sincere religion, Catholic-y kind of stuff.